Kipling, you devil. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I'm just reading some poetry. As a matter of fact, I'm reading my favorite piece of poetry, Gunga Din by Rudyard Kipling. You know, why don't you come in and sit down and I'll tell you about it. I gotta say, I first came across this poem when I was about 14. I was in the public library, and I just picked up the Jungle Book, and I was reading an anthology of Kipling's work, and I was just taken to it. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it spoke to me. I've always liked the topic of, you know, sort of British imperialism in India, you know, the relationships that went on, you know, a little bit about the story. So it's about this water carrier, right? His name is Gunga Din. He works for this group of British soldiers who treat him like dirt. And all he has to do is bring him water, no matter how they treat him, day in and day out. He does it over and over. And I kind of like the message. I love how steadfast he is, the way he really sticks to his resolve. Even though they treat him like dirt, he still works for it, you know? And the final resolution, where he dies saving that soldier's life, a soldier who was mean to him. And that soldier realizes that one day they'll both meet again. Not in heaven because they were good men, but hell. British soldier because he was bad, and Gunga Din because he was different, you know? And personal connections, I mean, I have to say I've always loved Kipling, this idea of, you know, two nations together in this time of imperialism, you know, the 1840s, very bustling, hustling sort of place. You know, kind of like Kipling was. I mean, he lived in India and in England, so he kind of has this experience, you know. He worked for the newspapers, he wrote the short stories. He always kind of had this draw towards imperialist ideas of poetry. I mean, poems like The White Man's Burden. It was very interesting. You know, would you like to hear some? I'll read it to you, and keep in mind, it won't nearly be as good as when Kipling did it. You may talk o' gin and beer, when you're quartered safe out here, and you've sent to penny fights and Aldershotted, but if it comes to slaughter, you will do your work on water, and you'll lick the bloomin' boots of him that's got it. Now in India's sunny clime, where I used to spend my time, a serving Her Majesty the Queen. Of all the black-faced crew, the finest man I knew was our regimental beastie, Gunga Din. It was din din din, you limp lump o' brick o' dust, Gunga Din. His slippery hither-o, water, get it? Penny it-lo, your squiggly-nosed old idol, Gunga Din. The uniform he wore was nothing much before, rather less than our left behind, for a twisty piece of rag and a goatskin water bag was all the field equipment he could find. When the sweating troop train lay, in a siding through the day, where the heat would make your bloomin' eyebrows crawl, we shouted, "Hurry by!" till our throats were brick dry. Then we walked him because he couldn't serve us all. It was din din din. You eaten where mischief's been, have ya? You put some Judy in it, or I'll mar you this minute if you don't fill up my helmet. Gunga Din. That was Gunga Din by Rudyard Kipling, one of my favorite poems. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you've enjoyed your time here. Have a good night.